Yo, hoop fans, your sideline sage, Tips and Upstreams, is lacing up once again. On deck, deep dives into the freshest NBA clashes, ready to set the planks ablaze. But before we jump the ball, be sure to hammer that subscribe on our YouTube channel to keep hooked with our sharp forecasts and prime selections. All right, let's bounce into today's NBA Crystal Ball reads. The first prediction for today is for the game between Cleveland Cavaliers and Indiana Pacers. In a head-to-head that's got the basketball world buzzing, the Cleveland Cavaliers are hitting the road to square off against the Indiana Pacers at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse in a match that's shaping up to be an unmissable NBA spectacle. The Cavs, boasting a solid 42-25 record and sitting comfortably in third place in the Eastern Conference, have hit a bit of a rough patch recently, dropping 3 out of their last 4 games. Their latest stumble, a 117-103 defeat at the hands of the Houston Rockets, has highlighted some key challenges, especially with the likes of Evan Mobley and Ty Jerome on the sidelines with injuries, and Dean Wade and Max Strus tagged as questionable. On the flip side, the Pacers, who are currently 6th in the Eastern Conference with a 38-30 record, are riding the momentum of a convincing 121-100 win against the Brooklyn Nets. This victory is a testament to their current form, having clinched 3 wins in their last 4 outings. However, they'll be feeling the absence of Benedict Mathurin, and Doug McDermott's participation is still up in the air. When you dive into the nuts and bolts of it, the Cavaliers pride themselves on a defense that's as tight as a drum, owning the 4th lowest points allowed average in the league at 109.6 points per game. With Donovan Mitchell leading the charge with an average of 27.4 points per game, their offense is putting up 113.6 points per game, landing them in 18th place for scoring. Their shooting accuracy from the field and beyond the arc is commendable, but it's their stalwart defense that's been the bedrock of their success. Contrary to the Cavs, the Pacers are all about that high-flying offense, topping the NBA charts with an average of 123.1 points per game, backed by the best overall shooting percentage in the league at 50.5%. But their defense leaves much to be desired, sitting at 28th in the league for points allowed at 121.1 per game. This clash of the Pacers' offensive juggernaut against the Cavaliers' defensive fortress is what makes this matchup so electrifying. Looking at the historical showdowns in Indianapolis, the Pacers have traditionally enjoyed a strong home court advantage. Given the Cavaliers' recent form and injury setbacks, particularly missing key players, the Pacers, with their scoring prowess, especially on their turf, are looking like the team to beat. With the Cavs' defense showing cracks and the Pacers' scoring machine in full throttle, especially in the comfort of their home, the battle is tilting towards an offensive display by the Pacers. Despite the Pacers' defensive woes, the Cavaliers' struggle to light up the scoreboard and their health issues could curb their ability to keep up. Moreover, the Pacers' relentless attack, coupled with the Cavaliers' injury concerns, suggests that Indiana is not just poised to clinch a victory, but also likely to beat the spread. The Pacers' offensive flair, led by Siakam and Halliburton, is poised to punch through the Cavaliers' defenses. Expect the Pacers to use their home advantage and scoring capability to overpower a Cavaliers team that's not at full strength. With the Pacers favored by a 7-point spread and an over-under of 225.5 points, the bet leans towards the Pacers beating the spread. Their scoring efficiency, particularly on home ground, and the Cavaliers' recent downturn and health woes position Indiana as the clear front-runner in this showdown. Considering the high-scoring nature of Pacers' games and the Cavaliers' potential defensive lapses, betting on the over seems a solid choice. In summary, the Indiana Pacers, armed with their explosive offense and home court edge against a Cavaliers team bogged down by injuries, are set for a straightforward victory. Expect the Pacers to not only win, but also cover the spread, leveraging their offensive might against the Cavaliers' current constraints. This matchup's dynamics, recent track records, and head-to-head history solidify Indiana's status as the favorite in this thrilling encounter. I'm placing my bet on the Indiana Pacers to come out on top and cover the spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Detroit Pistons and Boston Celtics. In a blockbuster face-off at TD Garden, the Detroit Pistons are suiting up to clash with the Boston Celtics in what's shaping up to be a basketball spectacle dripping with NBA swagger. The Celtics, on a hot streak, have flexed their muscles against squads like the Suns, Trailblazers, Jazz, and Wizards, showcasing an offensive firepower and defensive steel that's been downright dazzling. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been leading the charge, with standout support from Kristaps Porzingis and Derek White, lighting up the scoreboard with an average of 121 points on 48.6% shooting, a testament to their scoring efficiency and defensive prowess. Meanwhile, the Detroit Pistons, despite facing ups and downs, have managed to pull off impressive wins against the Raptors and Hornets. With Cade Cunningham at the helm and Jaden Ivey, Simone Fontecchio, and Jalen Duren making key contributions, the Pistons have been on a quest to find their groove amidst a season of fluctuating fortunes. Their journey, marked by youthful energy and grit, has been a thrilling ride of triumphs and trials. The odds for this matchup signal the Celtics' superiority, with a solid 16-point advantage in their favor and a total points line set at 225.5. This spread not only highlights the Celtics' stronghold at home, but also their formidable run, covering the spread in their recent victories on the road. Their storied success at home against teams from the Eastern Conference further cements their position as the favorites. However, the Pistons' tenacity and their history of outperforming expectations in tough games, particularly against teams from the Atlantic Division, cannot be overlooked. Despite a recent narrow defeat to the Heat, the Pistons have proven their mettle, covering the spread in a majority of their recent outings. This resilience, coupled with the Celtics' focus on an upcoming major game against the Bucks, adds a layer of unpredictability to the encounter. The injury report complicates predictions further. With pivotal players potentially sitting out, the game could swing in unexpected directions. The Celtics might consider resting key figures in light of their schedule, potentially giving the Pistons a chance to defy the odds. Taking into account the team's performance against the spread, their past encounters in Boston, and the Pistons' record in consecutive games, this showdown is anticipated to be tighter than the odds imply. While the Celtics boast the firepower and defensive capabilities to emerge victorious, the Pistons' recent form and the Celtics' strategic game plan for forthcoming matches suggest a nail-biter. To sum up, although the Celtics are likely to extend their win streak, the Pistons' fighting spirit and the game's contextual factors point towards them beating the spread. With an expectation of a tactical approach to player rotation by the Celtics and the Pistons' staunch defense, the game's total points might not reach the anticipated highs. Thus, the savvy move is to back the Detroit Pistons to beat the spread, recognizing their potential to give the Celtics a run for their money, despite the challenging odds. The next prediction for today is for the game between Miami Heat and Philadelphia 76ers. In a showdown electrifying the Wells Fargo Center to its core, the Miami Heat are set to battle the Philadelphia 76ers in a spectacle brimming with NBA elite skill and masterful strategy. Fresh off a riveting win over the Hornets, the 76ers are poised to wield their home court supremacy and extend their victory parade. Meanwhile, the Heat, riding the high from a buzzer-beater triumph over the Pistons, aim to keep the adrenaline pumping in Philly, eyeing another notch in their road win belt. The Heat's game plan showcases a well-rounded assault, with their recent showdown against the Pistons shining a light on their knack for sealing the deal when it counts. Duncan Robinson's laser precision from downtown and Bam Adebayo's board dominance played a pivotal role in that clutch win, with season stats painting them as kings of the clutch, spearheaded by Jimmy Butler and Tyler Herro's scoring prowess. Their sharpshooting and rebounding acumen lay the groundwork for their tactical approach. On the flip side, the 76ers have been indomitable on their turf, propelled by Joel Embiid's scoring and glass-cleaning feats and Tyrese Maxey's slick playmaking. Their offensive arsenal was on full display in their recent Hornets takedown, with Maxey dropping a cool 30. At home, their shot-making and board control underscore their ability to dictate the game's rhythm and enforce their will. The historical clashes in Philly tilt intriguingly towards the Heat, especially as underdogs. This narrative, coupled with their knack for defying odds in Eastern Conference road clashes, hints at their prowess in hostile territory. However, the 76ers' inability to cover the spread after a win as favorites indicates a vulnerability that the Heat could potentially take advantage of. Delving into both squads' recent form and stats, with a lens on shooting efficiency and rebound dominance, sketches a detailed portrait of this duel. The 76ers' offensive might, led by Embiid and Maxey, is a force, Yet the Heat's strategic depth, clutch gene, and road warrior ethos suggest a nail-biter. The defensive showdowns in past meetings, particularly at Wells Fargo Center, demand attention. With both coaches prioritizing shot efficiency and defense, expect a chess match where defense is king. The trends, the Heat's knack for beating the spread in past faceoffs, and their statistical superiority in away games might tilt predictions towards a Heat win, or at least them beating the spread. Yet, the matchup's unique dynamics, the 76ers' home court mojo, and the mental game against a historically gritty underdog paint a complex picture. Despite all indicators pointing towards a Heat victory, including their superior net rating on the road compared to the Sixers' home stats, the NBA has taught us that appearances can be deceiving. Leaning towards a conservative stance, the prediction focuses on total points. Considering both teams' defensive prowess and their trend of low-scoring games, it's wise to forecast a defense-dominated match, likely staying under the expected total points. To sum up, while the Heat's historical edge and resilience in Philly suggest they could defy odds, the tactical depth of this matchup and the Sixers' fortress-like home advantage indicate a defensive slugfest. Brace for a tight contest, with total points likely not breaching the 214.5 mark. My bet is on the under. The next prediction for today is for the game between Portland Trailblazers and Chicago Bulls. As the Portland Trailblazers gear up for a showdown against the Chicago Bulls at the United Center on a brisk March evening, we take a deep dive into the numbers, recent performance trends, and direct confrontations to predict the outcome of this electrifying encounter. The Trailblazers, facing a tough season with a record of 19 wins and 48 losses, have been ruled out of playoff contention, marking a year plagued by underachievement and injuries. Meanwhile, the Chicago Bulls, with a record of 33 wins and 35 losses, are still fighting for a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference, making each game a critical step towards securing a spot in the postseason. The Trailblazers have been struggling lately, losing 6 of their last 8 games, highlighting their difficulties in both offense and defense. Despite Anthony Simon's impressive average of 23.1 points per game, the team's performance has been inconsistent, particularly with the absence of key players like Robert Williams III, Shaedon Sharpe, Malcolm Brogdon, and Jeremy Grant, which has greatly affected their competitive edge. Facing the Bulls on their home turf, the Trailblazers are up against a steep challenge. The Bulls have had a mix of results, with 3 losses in their last 5 games. Despite these hiccups, the team has shown resilience, led by DeMar DeRozan, with an average of 23.2 points per game. The absence of Zach LaVine and Patrick Williams tests the Bulls' depth, but they've managed to stay competitive with a more balanced attack and defense. Stat-wise, the Bulls have the advantage, especially with the home court edge. They're scoring an average of 112.1 points on 46.6% shooting, slightly ahead of the Trailblazers' 107.7 points on 44.2% shooting. This offensive edge, along with better rebounding, gives the Bulls the upper hand in this face-off. Looking at recent encounters, the Bulls have had the upper hand, winning the last 4 meetings convincingly. Given the Trailblazers' weak away record and the Bulls' need for victories to clinch a playoff berth, this pattern is likely to persist. Furthermore, the Bulls have been more reliable against the spread compared to the Trailblazers, especially in situations similar to the upcoming game. The Trailblazers have shown some capacity to beat the spread recently, but still carry too much uncertainty, especially in away games. Considering the stats, head-to-head records, and the impact of missing players, our prediction heavily favors the Chicago Bulls. Their urgency to secure every possible win for a playoff position against the backdrop of the Trailblazers' dismal season hints at a Bulls win. Expect the Bulls to not just secure a victory, but also to beat the 6.5-point spread, leveraging their home field advantage and the Trailblazers' depleted squad. Regarding total points, given both teams' recent form and defensive issues, it's expected to be a high-scoring game, pushing the total points over the 215.5 mark. Both teams tend to get involved in high-scoring games, especially when key defenders are missing, making betting on the over a smart choice. In essence, the Chicago Bulls are set to claim an essential win at the United Center, exploiting the Trailblazers' weak spots and their own playoff aspirations to beat the spread and exceed the total points. Anticipate a dominant performance from the Bulls, utilizing their scoring prowess and depth to overpower the beleaguered Trailblazers. My money's on the Chicago Bulls beating the 6.5-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Minnesota Timberwolves and Utah Jazz. In the throbbing core of the NBA's heated season, an electrifying showdown is on the horizon as the Minnesota Timberwolves tangle with the Utah Jazz at the Delta Center. This isn't just another day at the office. It's a tale woven with the threads of ambition, perseverance, and the relentless drive for dominance in the Western Conference. Perched in third place, the Timberwolves are setting their sights on climbing to the summit, whereas the Jazz, currently in 12th, are a spirited mix of youthful vigor and indomitable will, aiming to shake up the established hierarchy. The Timberwolves, buoyed by a streak of victories against top-tier teams, feature a formidable offensive lineup, with Anthony Edwards leading the charge with an explosive average of 26.5 points per game. Even as they navigate the challenges posed by injuries to key players like Karl Anthony Towns and the uncertainty surrounding Rudy Gobert's participation, Minnesota's bench strength has been a key asset. The emergence of players like Naz Reid in crucial moments highlights the team's resilience and flexibility. Yet, it's their defensive masterclass, topping the league in efficiency and setting the benchmark for defense, that stands as their true powerhouse. On the other end, the Utah Jazz are in a scrappy battle for recognition, hindered by injuries to pivotal players like Lauri Markkanen. But adversity has unveiled new stars. Colin Sexton's rise as a potent scorer, and the team's collective grit exemplify their fight-till-the-end ethos. Although defensive lapses have been a concern, the Jazz's high-octane offense and sheer determination render them an unpredictable contender. A look at their past face-offs reveals a trend. The Timberwolves have generally come out on top, blending strategic offensive plays with a robust defense. Previous encounters, particularly at the Delta Center, suggest a psychological advantage for Minnesota. However, with the Jazz playing on their home turf and displaying unyielding determination, the outcome is far from certain. Comparing statistics sheds light on the scenario. Minnesota's defensive superiority, especially in limiting opponents' shooting efficiency, combined with their tactical offense, tips them as favorites. Nevertheless, Utah's scoring efficiency and rebounding capabilities, especially with Minnesota missing key figures, deserve attention. The home advantage could invigorate the Jazz, making for a closer contest than expected. Minnesota's recent performance, strategic depth, and defensive supremacy suggest they're the team to beat. But the Jazz, driven by the urgency of their situation and the potential comeback of key players, are ready to challenge. Given Minnesota's history of not covering the spread in similar situations and Utah's home resilience, an upset could be in the making. To sum up, while the Timberwolves might look unbeatable on paper, the peculiar dynamics of this matchup, combined with the Jazz's combative spirit and home court edge, hint at Utah's capability to overcome the 7-point spread. Anticipate a nail-biter, where the Jazz's speed and scoring keep them in contention, putting the Timberwolves' strategy and resilience to the test. Ultimately, Minnesota's depth and defensive savvy, their season's trademark, will be decisive. This clash is set to be a display of tactical ingenuity, tenacity, and the sheer will to win. Despite Minnesota's edge, the Jazz, with the advantage in points, are my pick in a game that embodies NBA's sheer unpredictability and thrill. I'm placing my bet on the Utah Jazz to beat the 7-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between New York Knicks and Golden State Warriors. In a classic East versus West showdown, the New York Knicks are gearing up to take on the Golden State Warriors at the electrifying Chase Center. This matchup promises to deliver a captivating story, as the Knicks aim to settle scores following their previous defeat to the Warriors this season. Entering the fray, both teams are in impressive form, with the Knicks boasting a 40-27 record and a solid 34-33 against the spread, having recently triumphed over several strong teams. Meanwhile, the Warriors, with a 35-31 record and 35-29-2 against the spread, are looking to capitalize on their home advantage after a series of mixed outcomes. The Knicks have showcased stellar defensive skills, consistently keeping opponents below 100 points throughout March, and boasting the league's 7th best defensive rating. Their prowess on defense, combined with a top-notch offensive rebounding rate, marks them as a tough contender. However, the absence of key players Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson might weaken their inside game and scoring diversity. Conversely, the Warriors are entering the game at full strength, eager to enhance their playoff position on their own turf. With Stephen Curry leading a formidable offensive lineup known for its deadly three-point shooting, they rank high in scoring and offensive boards. However, their average turnover rate and defensive performance could be their Achilles heel. Looking at their recent encounters in San Francisco, the Warriors have had the upper hand, but this season's statistics and current forms hint at a nail-biter. The clash between the Knicks' ironclad defense and the Warriors' explosive offense is anticipated to be a spectacle. With the Knicks in prime defensive shape and the Warriors playing at home, the match's fate might well be decided by three-point shooting accuracy and rebound dominance. The Warriors excel in three-point shooting, securing the second spot in the league for threes made per game, while the Knicks are adept at stifling their opponent's scoring early on, potentially throwing the Warriors off their game. Yet, given the Knicks' solid defense and the Warriors' penchant for high scores, the predicted total points might be up for debate. Considering the Knicks' recent defensive successes, their grit on the road, and the Warriors' occasional slips, New York seems in a good position to beat the spread. Jalen Brunson's offensive skills, coupled with OG Anunoby's defensive prowess, are likely to arm the Knicks with the necessary tools to counter the Warriors' dynamic attack. In summary, this duel is set to be tightly contested, with defense playing a pivotal role. The Knicks, powered by their defensive strategy and offensive inputs from Brunson and Anunoby, are expected to maintain a close game and cover the 4-point spread. Given the tendencies of both squads, and with a total points line set at 214, the Knicks' defensive efficiency could sway the match towards a less high-scoring outcome than anticipated, making betting on the under an appealing option. My bet is on the New York Knicks to beat the 4-point spread, with a lean towards the total falling under 214 points. The next prediction for today is for the game between Memphis Grizzlies and Sacramento Kings. Under the electric skies of the Golden One Center on a crisp Monday night, the Memphis Grizzlies go head-to-head with the Sacramento Kings in a showdown that's a must-watch for hoopheads across the globe. Battling through a storm of injuries, the Grizzlies are on the hunt to bounce back after tough losses to the Hornets and Thunder, yet they showed their grit by taking down the Wizards, averaging 105.8 points on 43.8% from the field. They're up against their defense leaking 112.3 points a game. Meanwhile, the Kings are hitting their stride, having taken down giants like the Lakers and Bucks, despite a hiccup against the Knicks, and are lighting up the scoreboard with 118 points a game on a solid 48.4% shooting, while their defense gives up 117.1 points. The tale of the tape for the Grizzlies includes a saga of injuries, with key players fighting to get back to peak form, impacting their scoring prowess. The return of Desmond Bane, alongside Jaren Jackson Jr. and G.G. Jackson's steady contributions, speaks to their toughness but highlights the scoring struggle. On the flip side, the Kings, led by the dynamic duo of De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, are a force to be reckoned with, thanks to their blend of speed, scoring, and glass domination, proving their strategic smarts and chemistry on the floor. A look at the recent matchups in Sacramento shows the Kings holding court, underlining their knack for capitalizing on home court edge. This history, combined with the Grizzlies' road woes and the Kings' fortress at home, sketches a story of diverging paths. Diving into the stats, the Kings' prowess in offensive rebounding and shooting efficiency shines, marking their control over the game's pace. The Grizzlies' scoring difficulties, reflected in their low rankings for points per game and shooting accuracy, signal a weak spot ripe for the Kings to exploit. While the back-to-back game angle doesn't come into play, the narrative around the Grizzlies' injury struggles and the Kings' stronghold at home against top contenders lays the groundwork for this clash. The Kings' recent form, especially on their turf, coupled with the Grizzlies' offensive and defensive hurdles, tips the scales in favor of Sacramento. Weighing the stats, Sacramento's offensive firepower and slightly sharper defensive edge in light of recent outings and historical face-offs at the Golden One Center, craft a persuasive case. The Kings' scoring depth, rebounding capability, and strategic finesse set them up as the favorites against a Memphis squad dealing with the throes of injury woes. My call. I'm banking on the Sacramento Kings not just to win, but to also cover the minus 9.5 spread. The total points are poised to dip below the 224.5 line, considering the Grizzlies' scoring drought and the Kings' tightened defense lately. This matchup, woven with narratives and tactical intrigue, highlights the Kings' upper hand, powered by home turf, statistical edge, and form. I'm laying my chips on the total points falling short of 224.5. The last prediction for today is for the game between Atlanta Hawks and Los Angeles Lakers. Tonight's showdown at the Crypto.com arena is nothing short of a playoff positioning dogfight in the NBA landscape. The Atlanta Hawks, sporting a 30-37 record, are embarking on a challenging road trip and square off against the Los Angeles Lakers, who are holding down the fort with a 36-32 tally. This clash transcends a regular game. It's a pivotal moment for both crews as they aim to halt their skids and cement their playoff dreams. Kicking off with the Hawks, fresh off a duel with the Clippers just last night, the wear and tear could play a major role. Historically, Atlanta has faced hurdles in these back-to-back scenarios, especially away from home, struggling to secure victories this season. However, they pack a punch offensively, spearheaded by Trae Young and a revitalized Jalen Johnson, launching them to the top ranks in trays and leading the charge in offensive boards. Their knack for snagging second chances could be crucial in taking on a Lakers squad that's been lacking in the rebounding department. On the flip side, the Lakers are looking to bounce back from a slump with 3 losses in their last 5 outings. Still, their dominance on home turf is undeniable, boasting a formidable 25-12 record. Even with LeBron James and Anthony Davis tending to injuries, their impact is undeniable, complemented by D'Angelo Russell's sharp shooting. L.A. shines in shooting accuracy, standing tall in field goal and three-point percentages. Yet, their defensive rebounding woes might be their Achilles heel. Past battles in L.A. have been high-octane, with both teams not holding back in an offensive fireworks show. The Lakers' efficiency and home advantage might seem like a sure bet, but the Hawks' recent demolition of the Clippers and a previous triumph over the Lakers, where they dropped 138 points, signals a potential upset. The matchup hints at a tight contest, given the Lakers' shooting prowess against the Hawks' rebounding edge and offensive firepower. Despite defensive leaks on both sides, with the Hawks conceding the most points league-wide and the Lakers trailing close, the scales tip slightly towards L.A. for their efficiency and home court stronghold. Yet, the Hawks' relentless hustle and offensive rebounding could keep them in the hunt, especially after back-to-back games. Wrapping up, while the Lakers are tipped for the win, the relentless Hawks, riding the high of a recent win and playoff hunger, are set to give them a run for their money in a scoring fest. Expect a total points bonanza, surpassing the 226.5 mark as both teams exploit defensive gaps. My money's on the Hawks to beat the spread, with the scoreboard ticking beyond 226.5.